Alright, what is up guys? Welcome back to another Transformers review. We are moving on to the next sealed Transformer that I wanted to open in my collection backlog. If you guys saw the Jetfire video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And again, this is not one that I've had just collecting dust in a closet for years. This one I got relatively recently. I actually think it was more than 1 year ago. It might have actually been 2 years ago at Dragon Con. There was a vendor that had this guy sealed and at a pretty reasonable price, not too much more than what it would have been new back in the day. So I decided I'd go ahead and pick it up because I am very nostalgic for the Cybertron line and missed out on a lot of the figures from that line when they were new, as I didn't see Cybertron on TV until after the toys had already kind of left stores and the movie line came in. So I didn't get a chance to get a lot of these guys, and slowly I've been collecting a few of them here and there. Several of them, as you can kind of see barely off screen here, have been reimagined in the Legacy line, and some of them were repainted in the Universe 2008 line as well. So, but here's what a Deluxe would look like in its original packaging. They would never use this much plastic these days, holy crap. But yeah, it's a plastic bubble on a card back, which is quite cool. But it does mean that in order to get this guy out of here, we're basically going to have to completely destroy the card back, which is unfortunate. And I know there's probably some collectors like screaming at the screen right now, like, no, don't open this guy, keep him sealed or whatever. But I want to go ahead and get my money's worth out of it and just enjoy it. It's not a flex or anything like that. It's just to enjoy these things and have fun with it. So decided to go ahead and just document the last few minutes of it being sealed, to go ahead and pop this guy open and enjoy it. It also seems like it comes with a DVD in there, and I don't know what that's about. Hopefully it's some episodes of the show, because I actually do not have the Cybertron series on DVD, although I know there are complete DVD collections of it out there. I would eventually like to track that down. But yeah, let's go ahead and open up Autobot Longrack. All right, we are back, and we have Longrack out of the packaging and in his alt mode here. And there's a lot of cool stuff that came with that. So there was the DVD, and there was also, which has one episode on it, and there was also a map, like a galaxy map, which I haven't taken out of the plastic yet, but really cool they packaged all that stuff in there. So to talk about his alt mode a little bit, it's not great, but it's not terrible either. Like, it has some cool things going for it. It does have some nice details, like down here on the treads, which don't move. It has, you know, this section is painted in and looks really quite good. He's got some green right here, just a lot of different colors to kind of break up the silhouette of it. But as an excavator vehicle, I'm kind of disappointed that there's no way to get his arms to come up on top of the vehicle to create a proper crane that like rotates around up here. He can rotate like this on his waist joint, and the excavator arm is meant to rotate up like this. But there's no way to get it to be like to rotate his shoulder like this to where it's on in the center like this. This has like an accordion style sideways ratchet thing, but it's always going to be off to the side like that, and I just think that's super awkward because it just doesn't really look like a real life excavator. Whereas you have things like the little mini-con that comes with Quick Mix has a similar method of like his arms fold up on the sides like that and combine in the center to make like a rotating machinery thing. And they could have done something similar to that, but it might have just been a lot more difficult from an engineering standpoint for a Deluxe. But yeah, the alt mode is cool. It doesn't have a whole lot really going on for it. It does have, you know, some wheels down here on the bottom, which do roll pretty well for what it is. And then, of course, he does have the Autobot Cyberplanet key, which connects right here. And you're able to push this giant lever back here and move out the excavator arm, which is actually a pretty cool play feature. I think that is implemented quite well, and it's the main gimmick of this guy. Interestingly enough, I do not believe that this was a character that appeared in the Cybertron anime / Galaxy Force show at all. This was purely a mold made up just for the toy, and did not appear in the show at all, if I'm not mistaken. I do not remember this character at all, but I should probably look that up and verify it. But in spite of that, he is pretty cool. I picked this guy up for a reason when I saw him sealed there at Dragon Con, because I knew that he was a figure that people did like. But his transformation is also so incredibly simple that I can do it live on screen here and not have to cut. I typically don't like doing transformations live on screen. I typically like just cutting and letting you guys figure it out for yourself or follow the instructions, because I feel like that's half the fun with Transformers. But we can just do it right here. We can unpeg the back mud flap thing there and ratchet his legs forward. And then we can disconnect them from the center and rotate them down like so. And I do wish there was a way to sort of push the waist forward so where the legs would come up a little bit closer to where my finger is there. But there unfortunately is not a way to do that. You fold the legs all the way down like so. And now you have his knee articulation there. Flip out his feet. And then we have this arm right here, which we rotate his elbow 360 degrees. And this reveals a mini-con port inside of his hand there. There's also mini-con ports, at least on this arm right here. We can then flip up his head and rotate it around. And that is it. It really is that easy. And like I said, those sort of accordion-style ratcheted shoulders are really the main thing that saves this robot mode from not being super, super clunky and awkward. And now that we have him fully transformed, you wouldn't assume this by looking at his rather awkward alt mode, but in his robot mode, dude looks freaking cool. The front cockpit of the vehicle becoming the chest is a very signature Transformers design thing. You know, the front hood of the car becoming the chest. You know, that's a very signature Transformers design aesthetic. He has a really cool head sculpt. He does have painted eyes, which I was just talking about the light piping and how much I like that in the Jetfire video, but we're back to painted eyes already. And this guy just looks like a really cool, like asymmetrical beater. Like he just looks like a melee fighter berserker character with his excavator arm. And I just think that's a really cool design. You know, sometimes you can have your really sleek, really human-like, symmetrical, nice proportions, characters that are, you know, nice and slim and sleek and everything. And then sometimes you can have asymmetrical designs like this, where the dude has just one massive arm used for melee. And the gimmick with the Cyberplanet key really integrates well with this. Again, it's cool to have it like rotated to where it's vertical with the alt mode, but then have it on its side with the robot mode here, where you can kind of, it becomes like a punching attack, which is just, I don't know, man, it's cool. I think it's a really cool gimmick. And then his articulation is not great, but it's better than you'd think it would be. Again, we have some nice, it's not quite a ratchet. It actually looks like it's a ball joint on his hips there, or it's more like a rotating hinge. And then there's his elbows his knees do not rotate side to side at all, but they do have a ratchet in the center there. And I guess if you wanted to, you could use that ratchet there to use for the transformation to get like an even wider stance if you wanted to. Oh man, he actually is stable like that. That's crazy. One thing you really would not expect about this guy is the fact that he does stand up remarkably well, even with the massive excavator arm. Like, that's a pretty wide stance right there. And then even his other arm too just looks like a cool weapon. You know, I don't have a mini-con to peg in or anything right there, but and he also does have the waist articulation that is partially used for his alt mode for the excavator doing its thing. But yeah, he doesn't have a lot, but where he does have it, I think it does, it is pretty cool. It does work out pretty well. His head is on a ball joint, which does have a great range of motion. I complimented that on the Jetfire video as well. I feel like these older figures have much better range of motion with their heads on ball joints than some of the modern figures do. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but I definitely appreciate it. So, yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about this guy. I think he's really, really cool. Very glad I picked him up. Cybertron has a lot of good deluxes. It also has some really bad deluxes. I really enjoy, like, Cybertron Defense Force Hotshot, but like I also really like the Thundercracker mold, even though that one is widely regarded by the fans as being bad. I just really like Cybertron Thundercracker. I think he's a funny character, and I have a personal sentimental attachment to that mold. But this guy I definitely think is pretty high quality, even though his alt mode is a little awkward and lackluster. I think the total package makes up for it. So you can find this guy loose for cheap. I would definitely recommend picking him up. And I believe that's all I have to say about this guy. So I will see you guys in the next one where we open the next sealed Transformer from my backlog.